Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Here today with another Reddit story. So let's jump right into it. This happened about 10 years ago when I was an undergrad student at a university in Texas. I had just moved into my first apartment off campus with a couple of my friends. But it didn't come up with any of our cleaning solutions. We ended up just putting the couch over it. But the real issue began that night. We were watching a movie and paying no attention to the window. When they arrived, they asked us what we wanted because there was no sign of forced entry or any damage. We told them about the window. They also admitted that they checked the area outside our window and found nothing but grass and trees. They also said that they couldn't find any neighbors who witnessed anything strange, which wasn't true because we were the only people in the complex with that view. We had specifically picked that apartment because we liked the huge backyard, which made sense considering how far the complex was from everything else. But somehow the cops hadn't even talked to anyone. But they said there was no way that anyone could have climbed up to it without leaving marks, and that there was no way to get outside onto the grass without leaving the complex. Once they were gone, we decided to check out the backyard ourselves. For example, our air conditioner unit would make a weird noise sometimes, like it was struggling to keep the room cool. Also, the temperature in the room would change drastically for no reason. It was actually set to about 90 degrees. We quickly changed it to a comfortable level and started gathering our stuff. Sometimes it would feel ice cold, even though the AC wasn't on, and other times it would be sweltering hot. Every time one of us went to the bathroom or got a drink, the others would watch the window for movement. We all packed up and moved into my friend's house. The frost showed us that it wasn't just an interdimensional portal, but a gateway to somewhere extremely cold. I wish that we had investigated further, but I don't think any of us really wanted to know the truth. After that experience, I never looked at windows the same way again. Perhaps it was a different dimension, another planet, or a place that existed at a different time. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. And if you want to hear more stories like this, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Whatever it was, it shouldn't have been possible for it to exist where it did. A couple of days later, we went back to get the rest of our stuff. When we entered the apartment, we noticed that the AC was on, and the room was freezing cold. None of us slept at all that night. We walked around and found nothing but grass and trees. It was completely normal. He looked up and saw that the window was covered in frost, even though it was in the middle of July, and the AC was blasting. Whatever was happening in that room was causing the temperature to plummet to near absolute zero. My friend stayed in the room to watch the window, while the other two of us went to get the stuff from the kitchen and living room. At first, we thought that it was just condensation, but then we realized that it was too cold for that. The backyard looked fine, but it was clear that something was wrong with the window. Either there was a hole in reality behind our window, or there was a place that shouldn't have been there that had somehow been hidden by the trees. We knew that we had to get out of there immediately. We ran out of the apartment as fast as we could. They suggested that we were probably seeing things because we were scared or high, to which we responded that we were not high. And that when we noticed that there was a narrow gap between the blind and the window frame, we weren't sure if we should be scared or relieved, but ultimately we decided to fill the hole and forget about it. But every time we passed by the window, we'd stop to look at it. We moved the couch away from the wall and the window to see if we could find where the face was coming from. And that's when we saw it. They left, and we waited for a response. All three of us were sitting on the couch, but then we all turned to the window at the same time. It was pretty cheap because it was way out of town, which is what we wanted since we were all broke college students. The complex wasn't anything special, but it was livable, or so we thought. As soon as we got to the apartment, we noticed a weird stain on the carpet that looked like blood. The window was fogged up, so none of us could see outside. But there was something imprinted on it that shouldn't have been there. There was a face in the window. It was maybe 6 or 7 feet tall and looked like an emaciated old man with a long white beard. Then one of my friends suggested opening the window to see if there was someone outside messing with us. When the window opened, the face was still visible from the inside, but now we could see nothing outside. There was supposed to be a tree line about 100 feet from the building, but instead there was nothing for about 500 feet. Then he would vanish after a few seconds and reappear a little while later. We tried to ignore it, but it kept coming back. We were pretty scared, so we closed the window and called the police. After about 2 hours, the police came back and told us that they'd investigated and found nothing. Still, we appreciated their help and we thanked them before closing the door. We ended up deciding to stay inside for the rest of the night and watch movies to keep our minds off of the window. The next morning, once we realized that the face hadn't appeared overnight, we decided to go outside again. We decided to take down the blinds to let some light in and to try and see if we could spot anything unusual. There was a circular opening in the drywall behind the blind that was large enough for a small animal to crawl through. And over the next couple of weeks, we started noticing other small details. It got to the point where we couldn't stand being in the room, so we stopped trying to live there. At first, we thought it must have malfunctioned and gotten stuck, but then we noticed that it wasn't set to a low temperature. But then one of my friends noticed something odd. He knew that something was seriously wrong. When we returned, he told us that the frost was slowly spreading across the entire window and that it was getting colder by the second. Looking back, I think that whatever was on the other side of the window didn't want us to see it. I'm still curious about what was on the other side of that window. And that's my story. I hope you liked it.